basketball, ice hockey, and or indoor track is the wrong direction. With that being said, certainly we will entertain any questions in that regard. I would also just add that we feel it is very important for a local Board of Education that has a position in regards to the holistic health of our students, for the Ellington Board of Education to be able to take a position and to communicate it out in a respectful manner. We feel it is very important for all the boards of education of the state of Connecticut and any other stakeholders, including the Department of Public Health, the CIAC, to be considering and engaging in public discourse on a policy direction that we are concerned with. It is also very important to note that this policy direction that the Department of Public Health is moving forward with is not just regarding CIAC sports, high school sports. It is also regarding youth sports. So that includes basketball that occurs for park and recreation. It includes travel basketball, and it includes AAU basketball. So if we're talking about the public stigmatization of a high school athlete, say 16 years old, we are also talking about the public stigmatization of, say, a 9-year-old 4th grade student. This concerns us greatly. We do not wish that this policy direction of the Department of Public Health continue down the road where this policy is in the schools during school session. We feel that would be very divisive for our students, not only in Ellington and the state of Connecticut. I think at this time, the board members and myself will take any questions you may have.
Can you tell us what you're hearing from some of the students?
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've been hearing from parents and students alike that school is challenging enough. There is enough division there, just being a student, that this adds another layer. The pandemic has been very challenging on all of us, but especially for our students who were in and out of school on a steady basis. This just adds another layer for them to have to work through, and we don't think it's necessary.
And can you spell out clearly what the mask policy is? So what do you now do with masks in the school system when it comes to students in class and athletes?
So currently, right now, we are following all of the mandates from the Department of Public Health and the State Department of Education, which is all students in school are masked. All students right now up through December 23rd are to wear masks in their athletic contest when they're practicing, and that includes coaches. We are certainly encouraged, because we know the Department of Public Health, especially the Commissioner, wishes to work with all stakeholders. And so we hope, moving forward, that we will receive a response to our letter.
So the CIAC was quick to point out to me today that unvaccinated students may not be the only ones who choose, or not who choose, but who are wearing masks. It could be a vaccinated student who decides they want to wear a mask while they're playing sports too. So it wouldn't necessarily single out only unvaccinated students. What's your response to that?
But the policy singles them out. So you're right, there may be students who decide that they don't want to go against a teammate, and that was some of the thought process, that they have to make that decision to either stand behind a teammate who they don't want to be singled out. So that's true. There may be some that are willing to do that, but why have to put that on their shoulders to make that choice?
They also point out that the local districts in this case are given some leeway, and that you could also, they say, decide that it would be safer for everyone to wear a mask, and that would eliminate any stigmatization at all.
That's interesting.
Unfortunately, the way the policy has been pushed to the local school district, it's not a policy that provides ultimate choice, but they put a qualifier on it. So for example, in New Jersey, they have decided that masks are optional, and it's a local decision or an individual's decision whether to wear them or not, regardless of vaccinated or unvaccinated, especially for high school athletics, but also for youth sports. Here in Connecticut, they've decided to put that decision on the local school districts, where whichever decision is made, you're possibly creating a divisive environment between vaccinated and unvaccinated, and that is something that we do not think is an excellent policy direction at all.
Yeah, but not really though, right? Because if you decide that all students should wear masks, then you're not singling any one out.
If you're deciding that all students are going to be wearing masks, you essentially are alienated those who are vaccinated, who wish that they are able to not wear the mask as directed and allowed by the DPH.
Do you think the dynamics are different with kids than adults? Because the same thing exists, I guess, in other environments also, where people wear masks or are vaccinated or not. Do you think it's different with children?
We're focusing on the stigmatization publicly of our students.
I think one of the things that's important to note is this is not a mask or a not mask policy, and this is not why we did this. It is more with the stigmatization and the holistic well-being of our students. It has absolutely, you can be pro-mask, anti-mask, it's got nothing to do with that. It just, the way the policy is written right now is it does say, you know, if you are vaccinated, you do not have to mask up, and we don't think that that is fair for our students.
So you would prefer to think that everyone should be either wear masks, because that way there's no distinction.
I think at this time, what we would like is for the Commissioner of the Department of Public Health to read our letter, to reach out, to engage us and others in the state of Connecticut with dialogue around that and move forward in that fashion.
Have you had discussions with other school boards or whatever? I think you alluded to that earlier, that you would expect other school districts to, or feel the same way. What kind of conversations have you had?
I can say informally there are other Board of Education members throughout the state of Connecticut that feel the same way, and they're going to have to work through their local governance processes to decide how they're going to move forward.
So to Susan's point, you walk in the building here and it says you do have to mask up. I'm wearing a mask, I'm fully vaccinated. But I'm confused as to what to do. It says mask up and then it says not for Board of Ed, you don't have to, if I read it correctly. I'm not sure, in society today, it's like mask up, don't mask up. Do you feel like it's affecting the children that much? Because in society today, you don't have to wear a mask when you go in, unless you're unvaccinated.
As a,
So,
sorry.
no, yeah. So how is this affecting them when it's in society?
As a parent of 2 students here in the district, and one recent graduate, I do think that it is confusing for students. So I also don't want them to have any more pressures put on them that they already have. So let's be clear with what we're saying, and let's not stigmatize.
Is what you're really asking for here a choice?
We're asking for the Commissioner of the Department of Public Health to seriously consider our concerns and to engage in public discourse so that we may move in a policy direction that we feel is going to be best for the holistic health of all of our students, not only in Ellington, but the state of Connecticut.
And would that result in everyone wearing a mask? Because then no one would be able to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't?
At this time, we're going to have to see what those discussions, how they move forward and where they end up.
And going back to what you said earlier, it sounds like you're, at least on some level, fearful that this could extend into the classroom learning environment at some point, where you have, you know, vaccinated students who don't have to wear a mask while unvaccinated students do.
It has been very clear in the Department of Public Health and the State Department of Education weekly phone calls, in listening to our leaders in those areas, that this is being strongly considered as a policy to be used within the school day.
It's also been brought to our attention recently that there have been some conversations among students, probably more so in the high school level, of, you know, I don't want to go as far as using the word bullying, but I think, you know, different students are aware of who's vaccinated and who's not. And again, that just puts more pressure on the students, and we just really don't need that.
We have had many parents reach out, both in regards to situations that have occurred within school and outside of school, at the elementary level, all the way up through, where students who were unvaccinated and or vice versa, there were significant issues of being isolated and/or being felt to be thought of lesser than based on their medical status. That is very concerning, and we should all of us here in the state of Connecticut, all parents, all students, all leaders should be thinking very carefully about the road that this policy direction is taking us.
How's it going in the school system with them wearing masks as it is? Will they wear them, or are they wearing the chin straps? Are you having trouble keeping them on?
For the most part, the students they're game players, right? They're willing to do what we ask them to do during the school day, obviously. There's concern outside of school that everywhere else they go, they don't need to wear a mask necessarily, but they're willing to do it. They're good at it.
Jennifer, can we get your title?
I am the communications chair of the Board of Ed as well as the secretary.
The last thing I will state on behalf of the Board of Education is that Ellington is very proud of our bipartisan approach to all sorts of policy endeavors and their local governance work. This Ellington Board of Education, this letter that was sent in good faith to the Commissioner of the Department of Public Health was done in a bipartisan fashion, signed by both Democrats and Republicans. We are proud of that, and we wait for an answer.
I mean, there's a lot of superintendents just like you across the state. Have you talked or heard from any of them? Are they opposing this policy in the same way you are?
I certainly think very highly of my colleagues throughout the state. They're doing a very difficult job. There's over 169 school districts. I certainly have many different conversations, but I'll let them speak for themselves. But certainly some do share this similar position, but I'll leave that for them to communicate how they see fit.
And the same with the Board of Ed. Same with the Board of Eds, the chairs. There are people out there that share the similar conviction that we do, but again, we'll let them speak for themselves.